Hello again. So to follow on from the last video, I'd like to say a big thank you to Diana T, because she's actually answered a big question that I've had in my mind all these years about why. In fact, a lot of you are saying, through asking your questions and making comments, you're actually helping me piece together a lot of stuff. And Diana T said, basically, the thing is, a lot of people all along said, oh, Steve Skerritt fancied you, and I never ever felt that. I never had that impression. But Diana T pointed out today, he wanted fame, he wanted notoriety, and she's right, and I was his ticket to that. They all love Crime Watch. Well, all the fellas I knew and guys and girls at Sussex Police, they all love Crime Watch. They were all jealous of Jackie Haynes, Nick, I can't remember his name, Jill Dando, of course, that was awful what happened to Jill. Anyone who doesn't live in the UK or isn't familiar with our UK TV show Crime Watch, Jill Dando was a very popular presenter, and she was assassinated, and it's a mystery to this day. Nobody knows by who or why or what happened there. And I remember that was 1999. That was the year I went on the run. And it wasn't just Steve Skerritt. More than one copper said to me, I'd love to be on Crime Watch. That's my dream. I want to be on Crime Watch. And thanks to Diana saying that today, I can now see why a lot of the coppers were all over me like a rash from day one. Now, I equally don't want any of you to think that I'm an angel, all right? Or that I was a nun or pure as the driven snow. Far from the case. I've always been quite an outward-going, gobby person, I suppose. I remember at kindergarten, I was bored. My mum was late picking me up from school, and I twisted up all the PE bags thinking, well, it's something to do and I'll untwist them before she gets here. Well, I twisted them all up, and there were a lot of them, and I was halfway through untwisting them and she turned up, so I just thought, I'll sod it, and I left them. Well, the next day the headmistress came in. She went into every single classroom demanding to know who'd done it, and when she got to kindergarten she asked who'd done it, and I stood up and said, oh, I did it. I was bored. Oh, sorry, I forgot to untwist the rest. And because I was only 5 years old, she was astonished. She said, she just turned about face, left, called my mother, said, I've never known a child own up to something like that. Because she was fierce, my headmistress, Mrs. Raxter, really fierce. And she said, your child is either insane or she's a genius, but she's fearless. There's something fearless about her. So, you know, I was an idiot from a young age. I just, like, waltzed straight into things. Loads of situations with the old Bill. I'd just march in and say, well, what's the matter with you? I was never the one to run away. This was very out of character for me to go on the run. Very out of character. It took them all by surprise, I can tell you. It was the last thing they expected, but Steve Skerritt was different to all the other coppers. He wasn't being honest, and he was doing a lot of naughtiness, and I thought, I'm out of here. I don't like the look of this. Anyway, yeah. The police, because my parents were very, very well known in Sussex. Now, I don't come from royal blood. I'm not an aristocrat. None of my family are. On my mum's side, my mum's mum was a lass from Gainsborough, and she was a waitress all her life, and she lived off tips. Her and her sister, Nellie. And they came from farmers up in Gainsborough. And on my dad's side, I traced it back, actually, after he died. County Clare. They were travellers and tailors, from what I can deduce, you know, sewing. And my great-grandfather was a very well-known tailor in Hastings. And he did so well, he paid for my granddad to train to become a chartered accountant. So that's where it started to get good for my family. And then my granddad paid for or encouraged my dad to do his articles. He had to work for free for 2 years to get them. And then bit by bit, and also my gran, being a waitress, she wanted my mum to do well. She and Nellie paid for my mum to go to RADA, which was a complete waste of money because she never became an actress, but she went into politics. And my mum and dad built everything up themselves, really, from there. So we weren't hoi polloi, but they were well known. They were very, very well known in Sussex. In fact, at one point, Princess Diana came down and she visited my mum at Pelham House in my mum's capacity of, I think she was leader of the East Sussex County Council then. And then in the afternoon, Diana went and opened the new magistrates' court in Lewes, and my dad was there to meet her in his capacity as a solicitor. So my mum and dad worked really, really hard. They were a bit like me, really. They didn't care about having money or rich things. They were very much make-do. My mum used to make all her own clothes and her handbags out of cornflake boxes. But we're the sort of people we don't really... Well, here I am telling you all about it. My mother would be turning in her grave, I'm sure. But we're the sort of family, even when I was right on the bones of my arse and I didn't have any money at all, I not only didn't tell my mum and dad, but I wouldn't dare set foot out of the house unless I looked as if I had money. It's always been very drummed into us. You've got to make it look like you've got a bit of something about you. So my parents were very, very well known, and Diana T, you have hit the nail on the head. They were all looking for a ticket to Crime Watch, weren't they? And you've just answered that question for me, 20 years later. God bless you, and God bless all the other people who've commented on the last video. But don't feel sorry for me, really don't, because, well, I'll give you an edge. I'm trying to think of more cheerful. It's all gotten a bit dark, hasn't it, and depressing. And one lady said, "Oh, I'm crying again now." Well, I had, round about 92, I had a boyfriend, and he was a car thief. And that's how I really met Sussex Police. So you don't need to give me too much pity, all right? I had a long-standing relationship with them. It was a battle. But it was 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. And I think I gave them a run for their money before going on the run, literally. And, yeah, there was a lot of animosity on their part, and they were pissed off because I won some, I lost some, they won some, they lost some. I don't have a criminal record, and that always really stuck in their mind. And I think the next video I'll tell you all about Thomas. That's not his real name. I've changed the names because these people that were involved, this is 20 years ago, they could have children, they could have anything going on. I don't want to destroy their lives. I've let it all go. But I'll tell you about Thomas, because Thomas was not only my boyfriend at one point, he was my best friend for 11 years. And he was the one who gave away my location in the end to scare it. How's about that for a ball breaker? But it was a long story, and I will tell you everything I can. I'm not going to tell people's real names. It's my choice if I decide to do this. It's another matter. And Steve Skerritt doesn't care. He doesn't care. He did those interviews with me. He said, put that up on YouTube. I don't care. He really doesn't. But as for the other people, I'm not going to drop their names in it. And I actually did an interview with ITV for the Too Posh to Pay. They only used 5 minutes of it in the end. They interviewed me for about 7 hours, I think it was. And in the end they said, we can't put this on the telly, Fiona. These people's lives would be destroyed if they find out what you've been through. So I don't want that. I don't want that. As I said before, let's keep it in proportion. And yes, I have certainly been no saint, as you will find out as the story progresses. But I hasten to add, I never did anything to deserve going to prison in Spain. Never. I was naughty. Over and out till another day.